Public speaking is one of the scariest things you can do, right? Anybody like to publicly speak in front of like 4,062 people? I know, yeah, I'm petrified right now, okay? I can barely see, all right? But we have the privilege throughout the next 2 days, how many 2 days left? To hear some winners of the student speaker tournament. Yeah. These are your peers, your colleagues, people your age who are going to bring you a good word. And up first, we have a young man hailing from Pasadena. It's like an hour from here, right? Would you please give a warm welcome for one of our student speaker tournament winners, Mr. Daniel Hsieh.
Hi, my name is Daniel Hsieh, and the speech you are about to hear is derived from my ponderings on what it means to love. I considered what the world presents as love as a pleasurable and alluring sensation, and found it to be quite in contrast with the biblical portrayal of love as sacrifice. I also considered what C.S. Lewis says love is, a deep unity maintained by the will and deliberately strengthened by habit. From that I concluded that love must not be so much a flurry of feelings and emotions, but a commitment honored despite them. The topic of my speech is spiritual discipline that makes a difference. The disciples were restless, nervous, and uneasy at the painful predictions being made by their beloved teacher. The cool night and calming breeze that hovered over the familiar dew-laden grove of olives did nothing to pacify the fearful bewilderment that tormented their imaginations and hearts. Betrayal, crucifixion. When the disciples began apprehending that a bloody slaughter of their dear Jesus on an old rugged cross was awaiting, they huddled closer, more attentive to the final teachings he would give them. Jesus, understanding their anxiety, issued a conditional promise, equally challenging as comforting. In John 15, Jesus said, "If you obey my commands, you will remain in my love. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you." And this is spiritual discipline. The more I study the Word, the more I see that spiritual discipline is essentially doing what Jesus has told us to do, described clearly for us in the Bible. Like obedience, it is the accomplishment of Christ's instructions through the refinement of our lives. Spiritual discipline and love are inseparably related. Our first act of spiritual discipline is a response to an initiation of love. We philander with ambition, flirting with love through romance. We search this world in pursuit of love, our gaze upon it, and hope that one day its eyes will meet ours. But we continue searching this world, and we are heartbroken every time. It is only when we recognize our need of Him and bow before the perfect portrait of love do we find the desires of our hearts truly satiated. We call this first act of spiritual discipline conversion. But how is it that we come to participate in this love? What undergirds this love? The foundation of love is discipline. Love on a spiritual level is built on spiritual discipline. The most prominent and explicit manifestation of this stands glaringly on the place called Golgotha. The cross is an act of love because of the excruciating discipline it exemplified. Jesus, in his perfection, beseeched his Father in dreaded agony, pleading with him for there to be another way. His thrice-repeated prayer that caused blood to drip on the garden in Gethsemane revealed Christ's apprehension and determination to discipline himself for the purpose of loving his Father by submitting to his will. His Father, he equally exhibited discipline when he looked down from heaven. Compassion and pain flooding the throne room. Would he really need to pour the wrath he saved for the most depraved sinner on the one in whom the fullness of his being dwelt? Does love require this much sacrifice? The Father showed the paramount act of discipline when he forced himself to crush his Son out of love for a lost humanity. Friends, do you see it? This is my story. This is my song. This is why I will praise my Savior all the day long. Our spiritual discipline here on earth is personal interaction with the echoes of discipline that roared from Calvary. We live manifesting in our everyday lives the cross. Yes, while on this planet, living a life of spiritual discipline will be contrary to our desires and feelings. Like trying to swim upstream, we must actualize the urging of Paul in 1 Timothy 4:7 and train ourselves for godliness. But it will not always be this way. The celestial kingdom of heaven is coming. The Christian's life on earth is full of whispers and rumors about it. Generations before us passed down the heritage of a longing for it. In the words of C.S. Lewis, proper rewards are not simply tacked on to the activity for which they are given, but are the activity itself in consummation. Heaven is not a doing away of spiritual discipline. It is the consummation of it. In heaven, we will continue striving to do what God has commanded us. We will continue striving to love. The difference is that there will be no resistance, no distractions, no enemy fighting to stop us. Obeying his commands will be the outworking of the very nature within us. Imagine sitting with Jesus, listening to him explain the marvelous purpose for every event we experienced here on earth, watching him point out the secrets of his creation, touching the scars on his hands and feet. We will want to stare at him in awe, fall before him in submission, dance with him, then embrace him, and live in that embrace forever and ever. What we were disciplining ourselves here on earth to do will be a reaction we cannot help but do in heaven. It will be discipline. It will be love. It will be joy. It will be life. First just an amorous glance, then a taste of desire, then complete fulfillment by Christ, then the commitment despite the pain, then the arousal of dreams, then the embrace of love. This is spiritual discipline that makes a difference. Thank you, and Soli Deo Gloria.
Questions? What is it, and why does it matter? Can you dig it? I know that you could. Yeah, process that. All right, so